Welcome everyone back to I Want to Teach English. I'm Jose Torres, and today I want to talk about AI. And I think for many of us teachers out there, we're probably overwhelmed with a plethora of administrative paperwork and all kinds of other goodies that we get handed from the higher ups. And as our plates begin to fill more, we tend to not have as much time to plan and to put together a good set of materials. Let's just say it. Let's just call it for what it is. Because depending on where you work, like in my district where I work, we're given a curriculum. And even though we're ESL teachers, even though we work with English learners at multiple levels, dealing with newcomers, for example, is a very difficult thing to keep up with the curriculum, but we do the best we can. And I think using AI is one of the ways we can put those gigantic mountains to climb and bring it back down to earth, at least somewhat we can manage and put together something that will benefit the students. So let's talk about that. And really this could apply to just about any level. I'm going to focus only on newcomers because that's my forte, but you could obviously change things around to fit the students that you have at your level. All right, so looking at this ChatGPT, I began with the curriculum that we're working on. At the first module that we're working with is a book called Bud, Not Buddy. Now, for our newcomers, they're going to have a really difficult time understanding this. So I'm just going to indulge you a little bit. And really, I don't know just how far we can go with AI in terms of translations and that sort of thing. I'm going to give it my best shot. But at least the majority of the students that I work with are Spanish speakers. And so it's really quite easy to navigate some of the things we do. So if we look here, I just basically said, and I wrote in the message for the ChatGPT is I write the first chapter of the book or rewrite the first chapter of the book, Bud Not Buddy, and reduce the readability level to that of the second grader. This will be used with English learners, so don't use idiomatic expressions and use only second grade vocabulary words. Rewrite it at a maximum of 500 words. So essentially, I took the whole first chapter and had a ChatGPT or AI reduce that to basically one page, and this is just for us to go over what happens in that first chapter. You could do this for every other chapter. What I do with this, for example, like it pretty much reduces it to basically a page, maybe, just about a page worth of text. It pretty much reduces the entire chapter into one little chunk, if you will. And we can go paragraph by paragraph, and that's usually how I do this so that they can absorb what's happening in the text, the normal text that everyone else is reading. If you have a Spanish speaker, you could always ask ChatGPT to maybe change this, translate this text that we did into Spanish. Let's see if it'll do that. So here it took that same chunk that I did and changed it to Spanish. As you can see here, it is essentially the same text, only it's in Spanish. So this way, our really low-level students can read that and understand what's really happening and kind of be able to engage more in the comprehension questions, which will be coming too. Now, if you have French speakers, you could try in French. I'm going to say, can you rewrite this text in French? Oops, I meant French. And there it goes. It knows when you make a mistake, but it rewrote it into French as well. So if you have a French speaker, you could try this with the various other languages that you have, that your students speak. And this way they'll have the reference of their L1s to kind of understand what's happening in English. They can kind of look at the two and figure out what's going on. But it doesn't stop there. I want to go ahead and I'm going to do some phonics and vocabulary. So I'll ask ChatGPT, okay, suggest 10 vocabulary words in English. I gotta make sure that it doesn't want it in French, in English. Suggest 10 vocabulary words for English learners with their definitions and parts of speech. And it'll give me that based on the text that I had them do. So and you could probably do this with the general vocabulary, depending on what levels you're working with, because you're going to have to build that academic vocabulary. But I've learned this the hard way, that when you work with newcomers, you're going to have to go all the way down, as far down as you can possibly go. Even though I asked ChatGPT to put it in the second grade level, it's still, if you were to take the text, and I'll show you here in a second how you can check the Flesch-Kincaid readability. There's a free way to calculate that online. You can see, and generally when you ask for second grade level, it'll give it somewhere between 5th and 7th grade anyway. So it really depends on just how, because it's hard to go down that far, but it still goes pretty low so that students can read it. The ease of it, as relatively speaking. Let's say I want to go 1 syllable words, 10 1 syllable words, 10 1 syllable words. There you go. So this way, separate them. You can separate them by long and short vowels. And it'll separate them by long and short vowels. So there. This is important, especially with the newcomers. You have to keep coming back to the phonics activities. And if you're not exactly sure, because you want to go, vowels for you are the go-to, but you can ask ChatGPT, suggest, let's say, 4 phonics-based activities, and ChatGPT will give you, okay, so you have the long and short vowel, which we just did. Word building with short vowels. It gives you an objective too. You can do vowel sound scavenger hunt. That's a fun one too. Rhyming word match is another one. So now you've got the phonics pieces coming together. So, okay, so you're breaking down the words, the sounds. You're having to pronounce certain words, or having them work on articulation. Now we got to actually piece together what's happening. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT, suggest 3 questions for comprehension discussion. 3 questions to check for comprehension. And have class discussions. All right, so here we have 3 comprehension questions to facilitate. Why does Bud feel happy and scared when he hears he is going to live with a new family? What did Todd do to Bud that was unfair, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, and it gives you the discussion prompt. And I know it's difficult, especially when your students don't speak English yet. They're still kind of like new and they don't really know how to articulate that. And so you could ask for, you can kind of guide them along in the conversation, and you can even encourage them to have that discussion amongst themselves in small group. They could do it in Spanish or whatever language they're speaking, and encourage them to use Google Translate to kind of respond to some of these questions in English. If you have access to a computer or smartphone during your class, I know sometimes you don't, but if you do have access to that, encourage them to translate that so that they can respond to these and have these class discussions. All right, so let's get to more comprehension-based questions. So I'm going to say ChatGPT to suggest, write 10 multiple choice questions related to the text and include the answer key at the end. Because if not, they'll add it at the end of each sentence, at the question, excuse me. So there's your, it'll give you 10 multiple choice questions, and you have the answer key at the end of that. I like to also include short answer questions, so I'll just ask ChatGPT to, let's see, write 5 short answer questions related to the text, and include sentence starters for English learners to prompt answers. And it'll give you whatever quantity of questions you might want. Like here's one. Why does Bud live in an orphanage? Sentence starter: Bud lives in an orphanage because he doesn't have a blank. And then they just fill in the blank. He doesn't have a family. So how does Todd treat Bud when they first meet? Todd treats Bud blank when they first meet by blank. And so here you just use those sentence starters to kind of get them to complete the thought. You may not be able to write the entire sentence. Like I said, if you're working with higher level students, you just would eliminate those sentence starters, maybe make suggestions or hints, and then they could just kind of fill in the rest. But as you can see here, the sky's the limit with AI. With ChatGPT, it's a free thing. You can go online and do, and you could just start asking it questions. You just have to sign up for it using your email, which is what everybody does. There are pay versions for it where you get like really more robust options. But for, these are just basic things that you can do and make it very practical. You can just start applying this in the classroom right away. You just copy and paste this, and then you print them out and make copies for the students. It really is that simple. It takes maybe a little bit of trial and error to try to get the right questions, to try to get ChatGPT to give you what exactly you want, because sometimes it might be a little off, So you gotta kind of reference and double check to make sure that it's not taking you veering off completely. But in this case, Bud Not Buddy is a very general book that is widely used, and it's popular, and a lot of middle schools teach it. So it's part of the curriculum. It's something that's required for our students, even though they're newcomers, even though they're just trying to learn English at the very basic level. You can use the text and pull out all the phonics activities you can think of. And if you can't think of any, ask ChatGPT to give you as many options or as many suggestions as your heart's desire. Anyway, I hope this is useful to you. If you like this video, please hit that like button, share this video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, subscribe. I'm hoping to grow this channel and share some of these ideas and these strategies with teachers who work with ESL, and anybody really. I think teachers in general could probably and are using this probably already. If you're not, get with it, man, because this is a powerful tool, and it's free. That's the magic word, right? Free. Anyway, I appreciate you guys staying, and until next time, God bless.